Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. In fact, we're talking about a lot of light today, because if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you'd already know that the title of tonight's show is Mixed Emotions. But that's for a good reason. And the good reason is that this Saturday on July 10th, we're having a fabulous new moon at 18 degrees of Cancer. And Cancer rules the home and the family, and it rules America. And this is a most fortunate new moon for all of us, really, but particularly for our country. And that is because the sun and the new moon are both at 18 degrees, and of the two of them, the moon is actually stronger because the moon rules Cancer, and they are conjuncting the United States sun, which is at 13 degrees of Cancer, since we did just have the 4th of July. So anyway, these planets that are in Cancer can really highlight all the things that Cancer stands for, and they are very well fortified as well. For instance, Cancer is the traditional ruler of the 4th house of home and last half of life, and so it rules endings. They're very good endings, though. They're done very well, because Cancers have a sort of a knack for keeping everybody happy even when something is ending. They're very thoughtful that way. But Cancer also rules residential real estate. So it rules our homes and our families, and it rules agriculture, anything that's coming out of the good earth, and it also rules mining, which we do a lot of in this country, and it rules what you do with the food after you grow it. In fact, it rules very good cooking, and particularly it rules restaurants, and they're sort of mom and pop restaurants or family restaurants where you can just all go and eat to your heart's content. We have a lot of restaurants like that in America, and they're very pleasing, and generally somebody who is a good cook is a cook who sort of learned it at home and developed things from recipes they've learned from other generations, which is nice. Cancer also rules nurturing. And so Cancers are very sensitive. Remember, it's ruled by the moon, and the moon reflects light. It doesn't generate light, it reflects light. And so Cancers can sort of walk into a room and they can pick up on the different moods of other people without saying too much about that. That's how sensitive they are. So they are very good at nurturing, or they're very good at just comforting somebody. And so that's why we think of all the water signs as ruling our emotions. And that is also why the water signs are called healing signs. Because no matter what happens, once somebody understands what you've been going through or understands the history behind something, generally you can sort of get over your mistakes and go on in life, which is pretty great. And of course, that's why for a Cancer, the first half of their life is not really quite as happy as the last half of their life, when they've gained a lot of experience. And Cancers are security prone, but the security is in their home or with their family, and that's what's important to them. Cancer rules farming, and so, the land is what counts in America. And a lot of Americans have a green thumb. Have you ever walked down a city street and seen flowers growing in the most unusual spots? That's just somebody with a green thumb trying to do their thing in the middle of a busy city. So this is a time when America can particularly benefit, because this new moon is fortified. And that means there are two other planets in water signs. Neptune and Jupiter are both in Pisces. They're retrograde right now, but they're there, and they are trining the sun and the new moon on Saturday. And together, those four planets are also trining the sign of Scorpio. So a lot of information can be coming out behind the scenes that can be quite revealing. This will continue all summer long, and it may lead up to some sort of major redo that a lot of us have to go through this fall. And it's in order to correct a mistake. But remember, once you correct a mistake, okay, that's done. You don't have to think about that anymore, and you can go on with your life. So there's something really good about correcting mistakes, because that's how you get over them. So this is a time when people can have mixed emotions, sort of depending on what's going on in their life. It's also because the planets are reacting right now in the heavens in two distinctly different ways. One of them is that there are 5 planets on one half of your chart that are very strong, and they're all direct and moving forward. Ooh, boy, that just means it's time to really get going. And those 5 are Mercury in Gemini, which is the ruler of Gemini, and it's at 28 degrees of Gemini. And so it's very strong, and it's being fortified. It's being trined by Saturn in Aquarius. And then next is the sun and the new moon on Saturday in Cancer. And then right beyond that are Venus and Mars, which are conjuncting each other in Leo. So there's 5 planets in these 3 signs, and they're all direct and moving forward. Nothing's stopping them at all. So those people can be sort of excited for new things, and they can want to sort of get up and get going. But on the opposite side of your chart, there are 4 planets also in 3 signs, and they are all going backward or retrograde. Okay, so they've got a different idea of how to get things done. That's why there can be mixed emotions now. Because these planets are retrograde, it simply means something has to be reviewed or redone. And so it starts with Pluto in Capricorn, which is retrograde, and it's a very slow-moving planet. Pluto is a planet of power, and generally what it means is the power of truth, real truth, coming forward. And it's the kind of real truth you learn over time. It's sort of the voice of experience, if you want to think of it that way. But that is retrograde, and Pluto rules powerful people in large corporations or government agencies. So there might be a little switching around there, and not everyone in a high position is going to really want to burst forward right now. They can have mixed emotions about something. Or let me put it another way, something can be amiss, and they would have to wonder how that's going to come out, and one way or another could lead to different kinds of emotions for them, and certainly changes at the top in management eventually, maybe by this fall. And then Saturn is retrograde in Aquarius, and Aquarius rules the future. It's a fixed sign, and Saturn is a malefic planet opposing Mars in Leo and Venus in Leo as well. So there is an indication of a betrayal around, and it's among a sort of a power-hungry group that really wants to have its own way and has been taking charge and just pressing forward with its own viewpoint regardless of what effect it will have on others. And so take a big ego to do that, but I think these people have big egos. But it's running into this planet Saturn, and Saturn is the planet of time, particularly rewards earned a long way, the hard way over a long period of time, and that means something has to be done right or done over. Remember it, and that affects our future. It's something that affects our future, and that's because the planet is retrograde. And then finally, Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces are retrograde. But Pisces rules dreams And it rules things that are hidden. It rules illusion. It's very creative. It rules photography and it rules dance as well. But Pisces is a very forgiving sign. It also rules escape. They sort of know how to get out of trouble if they get in it. So this is a time when an old dream could come back. It could be revived in one way or another, because those two planets in Pisces, which are retrograde, are still being tried by that sun and moon in Cancer on Saturday, which is good. So what we have is a little tug of war between people who know, okay, life isn't perfect, we've got to try harder, we've got to do what's right, and other people who are saying, I don't care, I just want to get ahead now. And so they are. They're moving ahead. And so that's why you can have mixed emotions, sort of depending on what your goals are and how your plans turn out. And remember, the future can be a little shaky right now because Saturn is retrograde in Aquarius, and also there's planets opposing that Saturn. Remember, Mars and Venus are doing that. But Uranus in Taurus, the third malefic planet, is also squaring that Saturn in Aquarius, which makes the future even shakier. So have you ever heard that old adage, you can't have it both ways? Actually, that's so true that that's why people are having mixed emotions. In other words, they can be very happy the way something has turned out in their lives, but they can be also doubtful or distrusting of something else that's going on that they may not want to be a part of. And so you could be facing that in your life in one way or another right now. But I still want to assure you, this new moon on Saturday, with the sun and the new moon conjuncting America's sun, is going to be very good for America. And you know, we just have to pick up the pieces after this pandemic and just get going again, and try to do what we can to make a better life for ourselves and our loved ones and our country. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, this is a time when it would pay you to sort of tiptoe through the tulips quietly, Aries. And that means try to be a little more discreet, or try to stay in the background a little bit. Now, Aries people don't like to do that. And besides, Aries, you could be in the mood for love right now. And the reason why, or you could want to be more popular, let's say that as well. Because Venus is conjuncting Mars, your own ruler, in Leo, and they are both trining your sun. Lucky you, Aries. So there can be somebody very dynamic and very persuasive, really knows how to pour on the flattery, and can sort of, helping you in one way or another right now. Now, they may also want to get their own way in the end. You have to be a little bit careful and not believe everything you're being told right now, Aries, because people could have hidden motives. That's that Mars in Leo as well. But still, this is a time when you could join others. It's just that I think instead of you wanting to take the lead or you wanting to be first on something, which, you like to do, particularly if it's a new beginning, I would suggest that you slow down and you include others in your plans and sort of give them equal status so that it looks like you're sharing power, not controlling it. That would be a little bit better idea, because people are unsure of a lot of things right now. There are mixed emotions. And so I don't think anyone has a completely 100% clear mandate for their future right now. There's too much uncertainty. But at the same time, I can assure you that, it's very good for America, but you're going to have to play your cards pretty close to your chest, Aries, because your sun's sign is being squared harshly by the sun and new moon in Cancer, which is a cardinal sign, and it's being squared by Pluto in Capricorn. You are a person that in one way or another can be involved in some sort of change at the top. And if it isn't you that's top management, you may know somebody who's top management, and there's going to be a change there. That's why I'm saying try to hold back a little bit right now, Aries. Not because you couldn't just zoom forward by yourself, but it may not be a good idea to be the Lone Ranger right now. It might safety in numbers, Aries, so give that a try. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Oh, Taurus. This is a time when it's good to remind you that any time there is a planet in Cancer, it will sextile your Taurus sun. So that's very good for you. It's also very good for Cancer when there's a planet in your sign. Same thing. These two signs sextile each other. Well, Uranus is in your sign right now, and it can almost act so erratically and in such a volatile, suddenly surprising way that you may be thrown off your balance a little bit by sudden changes in financial transactions. It may not be anything that is in your power. Maybe somebody else is making the sudden changes, but you may have to handle something like that, and you have to be very, don't speed up, Taurus, slow down. Be very methodical and take your time with whatever financial problems you are dealing with right now, because Venus, your own ruler, and Mars in Leo are squaring your sun where Uranus is, and Saturn in Aquarius is doing the same thing. You could almost feel as if you're being a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of responsibility that you think you have to take on right now. Well, you know, a Taurus is a really hard worker, and so they do take on a lot of responsibility. All I'm saying is, you know, let time work for you, Taurus, because these times are so challenging among the fixed signs, and that's what yours is, it's a fixed sign, that there can be no winners, at least not in the month of July, when all these malefic planets are fighting with each other. And so if you want to win, Taurus, remember, Pluto in Capricorn is trining your sun where you have Uranus. That trine is going to stay in effect until 2025. It's funny, in 2025, Pluto moves out of Capricorn and Uranus moves out of Taurus. But until then, these planets are trining each other. So sometimes things can happen in the blink of an eye, and at other times they're just plodding along. But they're not hurting you. And that's why I say go slow right now. It's to your benefit to even put things off until August if you can, because the aspects will be more favorable then for you. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Gemini. Remember I said that the 5 planets on one side of everybody's chart are very dynamic. They want to get up and go because they're all direct. And that includes Mercury in your sign, Gemini. It has been in your sign a rather long time. And the reason why is because it went forward in your sign, and then it retrograded and went backward. And then it had to make a station, turn around, and go forward again, which is what it's doing now. And it's coming to the end of your sign now. It's at 28 degrees of Gemini today. And so it's about to go into Cancer. But it is still being trined by Saturn in Aquarius, and that simply means you can have your mind on the future, Gemini, and you can be communicating in a very clear way. And you could have a lot of different ideas, and even if you can't follow up on every single one of them right now, you should write them down, Gemini, because this could be a very creative time for you. And all you have to do is get those creative ideas written down, and you can set up a timeline later on for when you want to work on those ideas. You don't have to get everything done right now, Gemini. Saturn in Aquarius is going to be trining your sun sign for the next 2.5 years. And that is going to give you some amazing support from older and wiser people who can be extremely loyal to you. So you don't have to be in a big rush right now, is what I'm saying. It's just as you since you are so clear-minded right now, write everything down, Gemini, because you've got a lot of planning to do right now. And so, you don't have to have the pieces in perfect order, but you do have to have them lined up somehow, and that's what you should be working on right now. So you could have mixed emotions because you'd like to just go forward and get what you want, but on the other hand, there are a lot of planets, 4 of them, that are retrograde, and that means we have to go back and redo something, and it's going to take all summer to figure out how to do that, but we will. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Oh, Cancer, this is one of the best new moons that you'll ever have, because the sun and the new moon are right on top of America's sun. Any planets that are 7 degrees or closer in their orbits to each other, that's called a conjunction. And the U.S. sun is at 13 degrees of Cancer, and the sun and new moon are at 18 degrees. So they're within 5 degrees, and that means they're conjuncting. This is very good for you, Cancer. It simply means that there could be a move coming up. It would be overdue. It would be something that possibly you should have done before. But Cancer is the sign of thrift. So what do Cancers do? They collect everything. They collect used bags. They collect pieces of string. They collect anything that can be recycled, because recycled is ruled by your sign, Cancer. And so, they know how to be thrifty and stretch a dollar, and yet a Cancer is always generous to anybody, even a stranger, generally with food. Generally, they like to share their food. And because, you got to help to feed people. And it does seem to be a curious American trait that no matter what else Americans are doing, they always think they need to feed people. And so we actually, if we have a little too much a crop in one area or another after we've done our harvest, we can always find a needy nation in some other part of the world that would love to have that extra food, and we always give it. America is the breadbasket of the world. And part of it is because we grow so much food here. But the other part of it is it's in our hearts to share and to understand that people need food. And so we just give it to everybody. And you could be that generous in spirit as well, Cancer. So this is a time with the 2 planets in Pisces trining your sun during the new moon on Saturday, that you can learn or hear about something behind the scenes that is, it's sort of like a magic clue that helps you have everything click into place. In other words, possibly you have been sort of weighing in your mind with your mixed emotions. You've been trying to sort of think, well, should I do this or should I do that? Well, I think there's going to be some information coming out from behind the scenes, or someone will consult with you or talk with you, or you can simply be inspired by something even that you said long ago. And that could click into place, and you would be able to make some sort of new beginning. It would certainly involve something that benefits your family. I don't know if you're actually doing it for the family. I think you're doing it for yourself. You need it. Now, there's a new beginning coming, and you need to do it, Cancer. So moving is not a favorite thing for a Cancer to do because they have so much stuff to move. But on the other hand, if you're feeling like adding on to your home or redoing your home in some way, I think that could be rejuvenating for you. And that's what this new moon is all about. Getting our second wind, going forward, being as good as we can, being as good Americans as we can be. And that would be you, Cancer. You are more loved than you know. So don't doubt that at all. Don't have any mixed emotions about that. Whatever love you're sort of wondering about, it's there. It's really there. And you don't have to wonder about it. It's going to be there for a long time. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time when I think things can be getting a little bit better for you, Leo. And the reason why is that today, or actually on Saturday, Venus is conjuncting Mars in your sign. Now, by itself, Mars in your sign is a malefic planet, taking a lot of heat from the other malefic planets and also generating some heat as well. So that means you could have been sort of like either jealous or sort of had a mean streak in you, or you could be revengeful in some way, or you could just be working too hard. You could be doing that. But now that Venus is in your sign, you know, the problems that can be coming up, which could be financial, since Uranus is squaring your sun sign from Taurus, and Saturn is opposing your sun sign from Aquarius. It's, even if your future is looking pretty shaky or uncertain right now, Leo, it's turning a corner, and I think it's, you know, you're going to come out of something a little better than you think, but that's because that Venus is in your sign. And so you could have some mixed emotions due to the fact that you may not have gotten your way on something recently. Okay, with those malefic planets all squaring and opposing each other. A really fond plan of yours that you were counting on may have failed. It may not be working right now. And you could be sort of indignant about that. Well, so that's a mixed emotion, isn't it? But on the other hand, I think that as time goes on, when Mars moves out of your sign in August, you will get some sort of sense of relief. I think that your emotions are sort of too bottled up right now, Leo, and you're going to have to let time pass. July is a very dangerous month for you. And it could be stressful on your heart or your back or the blood supply. So you need to take precautions with your health right now, and nothing else matters quite as much as that, Leo. Just this month, take it easy. The new moon in Cancer was right behind your sun sign. There can be something awfully good in your home or with your family in the background of your life, or something to do with America or the American way that is really good and is going to sort of enlighten you a little bit. So you may have mixed emotions about a plan that has failed recently, but you could also have something on the back burner that's looking pretty good. It's maybe not going to happen right now, but it's looking real good, and possibly you can achieve that by this fall or Christmas. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Virgo. This is a time when, just like Taurus, the sign of Cancer sextiles your sun. And so the sun and the new moon on Saturday will be sextiling your sign, which is good because you need all the enlightenment or the help or the nurturing that you can get, Virgo, because there are some very strong planets that can be challenging your sign right now. And they could almost represent some sort of mysterious influence around you that you don't quite understand. Somebody could be a really good actor or actress, and they're saying one thing, but they're really doing another, and that can be confusing because Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, and Neptune is the ruler of that sign, are opposing your sun sign. And Mercury in Gemini, and Mercury's the ruler of Gemini, is squaring your sun sign. And so, you know, people are actually talking out of both sides of their mouth right now to you, Virgo. And I would say to use a lot of caution and don't believe everything you hear. Because remember that old adage, you can't have it both ways. But there can be people around that are trying to influence you to think that you can have it both ways. But that is absolutely not true, Virgo. Stick to the facts. That's what you're good at. So there can be information coming out that is either going to enlighten you because it's going to expose an imposter, or it will reveal the truth about something. Your sign rules the healthcare field. We could have a few surprises this summer as more and more information comes out about what we've been through. You know, it's wonderful that we made it through, but we have to pick up the pieces and ask a whole lot of questions now, because we don't want to go through that again. So we better correct something or fix something. And you have a good analytical mind, Virgo, but you can't afford to believe everything you're hearing right now, because people are giving you funny stories. I'm not saying they're outright lying, but they can intimate something and try to pass it off as fact, when actually it's just an illusion. It's not fact at all. So think it over, and then be cautious if you can, okay? Just remember, July's a dangerous month for everybody. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Libra, this is a time when I think that you are, strangely enough, benefiting sort of on the sidelines from the fact that Mercury has been in Gemini for quite a while, and it's still there right now, and is trining your sun. And Saturn, which is retrograde in Aquarius, is also trining your sun. So somewhere in your plans for the future, Libra, you either have got to dust off an old ambition or an old dream, or you could be returning to a former employer because you want to. I mean, you would be returning with somewhat of a different attitude. In other words, it isn't just a job that you'd be returning to. That job may represent much more to your hopes for the future than you were willing to admit before. And so there's a lot going on there. And Jupiter will come back into Aquarius at the end of July, and it will trine your sun as well. So those things should stimulate you to be really honest with yourself and really going over things, and not having mixed emotions, but sort of getting down to the truth and admitting it. And we all change as we go on in life, and our jobs change, and our families change. The one thing that never changes is the true value of love. You would know about that, Libra, because the ruler of your sign is Venus, and Venus rules love. Venus is coming into your sign by the fall. It's in Leo now, it's sextiling your sun, but Mars is there too, so you need to be a little more honest about why you're doing things now, because the truth is so much better than whatever you were telling yourself before. The truth is wonderful for you, Libra. You just kind of sort of sit down and admit it right now about why you want to do things in your future. And it's sort of like growing up. It doesn't matter what age you are. It means you're realizing that something is really worth it out there, and you're rededicating yourself to it, which is pretty nice. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this whole month you're going to be plagued by challenges coming at you on all sides. And that's because of these malefic planets that are squaring and opposing each other in fixed signs, and that also includes Venus in Leo. And they're really harshly challenging your sun sign. But this new moon on Saturday at 18 degrees of Cancer, which conjuncts the United States sun at 13 degrees of Cancer, is wonderful for you, Scorpio, because the sun and the moon, the lights, are going to be trining your sun. And Jupiter and Neptune, even though they're retrograde, Neptune's the ruler of Pisces, it's very strong there, and Jupiter is a wonderful planet, and they are trining your sun. So on Saturday, when the new moon hits, you're going to have 4 great planets all supporting your sun sign, Scorpio. And something is going to work out a little better than you thought. In fact, having been under so much pressure in all respects. I mean, people could have been lying to you, they could have been cheating, there could have been people around that had malice toward you and wanted to hurt you. Okay, so none of that is fun. So you've been through a lot of challenges, but you really have some strong support right now under this new moon, Scorpio. And it means that the family stands up for you, or it means that you could move, you could have a new home, or you could want to build a home or something like that, because Cancer rules real estate. But above all, there would be a lot more understanding going on, particularly by you. You could be understanding yourself a whole lot better right now. And you could be taking a very objective look at your family or at your home or at the place you are now in your life. You know, it could be age related wherever you are now. And you could also be trying to find out more information about things that have been hidden behind the scenes. And you would certainly be able to do that. You would have a lot of good help with that. In fact, people would want to help you right now, Scorpio. So that's good, because these malefic planets have not gone away. They're going to be around challenging your sign the whole month of July. So try not to sign away any money in July, because it would cost you more than you really should be paying, so don't do it. But on the other hand, you may decide to make financial decisions a little bit later on, maybe in August, maybe in September and October. Fine. But just this month, keep your hands in your pocket, Scorpio, because there's too much greed and cruelty and jealousy around. And unfortunately, it is pretty much aimed at you. And so you really have got to be careful. But I would say that if you're a little bit undecided about something, that's good. It means you don't have to take sides. Just tell people you're busy doing something and let time pass until August or September comes along. And then you can make your move. Because these harsh aspects will not be as harsh by August. You just have to get through the rest of the month. And this new moon is really going to help you do it. You know, it's going to be better than you think, Scorpio. But I'm just telling you, you know, if you ask for trouble, you'll be getting it. So this is a real good time to be real quiet and don't ask for it. And then just let the clock tick until the month is over. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, Venus and Mars are both conjuncting each other in Leo, and they're both trining your sun sign, Sagittarius. I bet you've got your mind on some pretty great travel. So you may want to go to a foreign country, or you can have some friends from a foreign country come and visit you. That would certainly be nice and might make you real busy, and you might have to move things around to make your guests fit. But I think that you'd really enjoy that, Sagittarius. And when Mercury leaves Gemini, Mercury has been opposing your sun sign for quite a while. And it will leave and go into Cancer soon, and it will no longer be opposing your sun sign. And that will take some pressure off you. And that is because you may have been somewhat consumed with sort of pesky little everyday tasks, or people who keep asking you the same question over and over again. In other words, sort of mundane things that really don't require any intelligence at all. You just have to sort of do them. Okay, that could have been bothering you. And so you could have mixed emotions about what you've been doing, Sagittarius. But it's going to be better when Gemini moves on. And yet, you still, along with everyone else, are going to have to be able to face the facts that will be coming out from behind the scenes. And they can be quite challenging at times, because Neptune and Jupiter in Pisces are squaring your sun, and Mercury in Gemini is opposing your sun. So I would say, if nothing else, confusing conditions have existed in your life. And, they will clear up. But because they are sort of at a low intellectual level, you may not have wanted to really fix them or pay too much attention to them. And maybe you don't have to. Maybe they will just sort of fade away. That is possible. And with Venus and Mars in Leo trining your sun, this is a good time for you to take a trip. A really good time for that. Or to welcome visitors and just take the pause that refreshes, Sagittarius. I think you owe it to yourself, so I hope you do it. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Capricorn. This is a time when I think that you can be looking very carefully at long-term financial plans. And that's fine. The reason why you could be looking, particularly previewing your own long-term financial plans, is because of the instability of the future right now. The future is ruled by Aquarius. It's right ahead of your sign, but Saturn is retrograde in it. Pluto is retrograde in your sign. This is a time when people could be changing their minds, but I really think that it's a time when more and more truth is coming to the surface, and we will have to sort of incorporate that into our goals and plans. And that's what I think you can be doing now, Capricorn. Just understanding that the world has changed. It's not just the pandemic either, but the world has changed, or people's moods have changed, or catastrophic events have changed how people feel about things. That's why we all have mixed emotions now. And so in your practical way, you could be looking at your long-term plans and realizing you need some new information. You need more up-to-date information on how to modify your long-term plans. That would be your retirement or your long-term security plans, in light of a a new tax structure or new laws that are going into effect, something like that. So you really have to do a little studying, or else just plain go and ask an expert, so that you can readjust your own plans and not lose any money. This is a time, because the future is so shaky, that everybody's got to look at things a little bit more carefully. And who knows, you may learn something new that would really be of help to you as well. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a time when I think that you're going to have to admit that the future is looking a little uncertain. Now, it's one thing to admit that something is confusing or uncertain. It's another thing to say that it's a failure. So I'm not talking failure, Aquarius. I'm just talking about something that is, the world is, it's sort of like dominoes. The world is dependent upon one thing, and then another thing, and then another thing. And we don't know which domino is going to fall in sequence, so we're a little unsure of how the future is going to work. Well, that could really be where you are, Aquarius, because your sign rules the future. But oh boy, Venus and Mars are opposing Saturn in your sign, which is weaker because it's retrograde, and Uranus is squaring it, and Uranus is your own ruler. You're stuck with having these two malefic planets, Saturn in your sign and Uranus in Taurus, squaring each other for the next 2.5 years until Saturn finally moves on. And so there are things that are just not going to happen that you thought were going to happen. It can be that, say, even a year ago, or even before the pandemic, 2 years ago, that you thought something you were doing was just going to go on forever. Well, maybe it is, because remember, I'm not talking about failure. I'm just talking about uncertainty. And it seems to me that your future is very uncertain at the moment. But once again, it can be because we don't know enough about the things that are changing. Maybe we're not well enough informed. maybe nobody's telling us for one reason or another. But you really have to just don't be disappointed in yourself right now, Aquarius. It's sort of not your fault your sign is getting a little bombarded. And the uncertainty isn't your fault either. That uncertainty is coming from other people who haven't made up their minds or don't know what they want. And if you're dependent upon them, then that means you don't know what you want either. But it's because they don't either. Do you see what I mean? So I think that you just need to step back if you can and be as quiet as you can. This would be an excellent time for the whole rest of the month in July for you to catch up on every little task that you just haven't done in the last year, and start fixing things, start doing things. Okay, they just might be little mundane things, but you're going to feel wonderful when they're all done. And also, maybe that's all you need to do is let a little time pass until somebody decides something, and you can't rush that either. So try to do something constructive that benefits you instead, even if it's just small, because I'm not talking about failure. But you don't have to live in limbo either. Just give yourself something to do every day, and then you can be proud of yourself when you get it done. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time when you can be almost flabbergasted by the happiness that this new moon is going to bring to you. It will come right in on a platter, Pisces. It'll be something somebody serves you. And I mean, so it could be really good food, actually. But what I mean is that the sun and new moon on Saturday in Cancer, conjuncting America's sun signs, remember it's real good for America, are all trining your sun sign, which is loaded because it's got Neptune, your own ruler, and Jupiter in your sign, and they're both retrograde. And so they are sort of reassessing things. They're helping to bring out more hidden information, or they say that the truth is ugly. I don't think it is. The truth is illuminating. It means it's like somewhere in all of our lives there's this jigsaw puzzle, and we have been missing a lot of pieces. Well, that's because the pandemic sort of threw us off a little bit. But this is a time, Pisces, with this new moon in Cancer, when somebody can come along and help you find the missing pieces that can make a wonderful picture in your life, that can complete you somehow. It could be a favor that a friend does you. It could be a very nice dinner somebody just, presents to you on a platter. It could be a promotion at work. It is somewhat likely to be involved with the home or the family, because that's what Cancer rules. And remember, Cancer rules the last half of life. And that's not a mathematical number. It's more or less, whenever a person decides to grow up, then that begins the last half. So it's not a half by number, it's a half by maturity. When a person decides to grow up and take responsibility for themselves, no matter what age they are onto a better way of life. So you may be too, Pisces. Congratulations. This is a very nice new moon for you, and it does involve justice in one way or another. There could also be the possibility some more money could be coming your way, or something of value. Once again, handed to you. That's pretty nice. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show and read our blog on our website, starborninstitute.org. Bye.